going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Always Be Building podcast from DFF. So, welcome everybody from the DFF Army. We're here with Ben again, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's a very nice Monday over here in Oakland, and having a good
Yeah,
day for sure.
the California swing, bro. But we get the
Mm-hmm.
we get the show done no matter what. So,
Yep, you know it.
glad you guys could join us for episode 4 of the Always Be Building show. Today we're going to be doing the way too early 2024 class preview. So of course we're going to be hammering the 2024 class for quite a while. Obviously it's very early. We haven't even seen the 2023 class do any training camp, anything. But we still gotta, as dynasty players, still gotta be on the radar for the 2024 class. If you're trading in the future for picks, you gotta know why you're trading for these picks or why you're not. You know what I mean? Like, so this is gonna be one of those, kind of entry level into these top at least 5 or 6 guys that you're gonna be looking at the top of your draft. So before we get into that, Ben, how was your uh 2023 rookie draft season? How did you feel about that? Who were a couple guys that you were able to come away with a lot from the 2023 rookie class?
It was cool. I still have a couple drafts to go with
Okay.
in like my home leagues, waiting on those guys to get home. But the ones that I did get done, I feel pretty good about for the most part. I have a couple rebuilding teams. I added
Okay.
uh some nice, like, I added a Stroud share. I don't have any crazy acquisitions that I made, but some of the guys that I ended up getting a lot of shares of would be, I have a few Kendre Miller shares. I
Okay.
have a lot of Zay Flowers. I have some Marvin Mims too, which is cool.
Okay.
Those are just a couple of the names, but I traded up for Zay a couple times.
Okay.
Got a lot of him. I'm really getting into Baltimore this offseason, and I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they're going to end up being like, because the Raiders are going to suck. The Ravens are going to be the Ravens are going to be the team that I'm really like rooting for this season. I think
Okay.
it's like a serious contender.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
acquiring a lot of Zay. What about you, man?
Yeah. Ravens are going to be good. Just I wish I got my hands on some Zay Flowers shares. I don't have him, I think, at all. I think I missed the Zay Flowers train, but that's all right because I got a lot of my guy Jordan Addison. I
Mm,
was happy to
nice.
acquire a whole bunch of shares of him. Liked him as a prospect, anyways, and I think that Minnesota landing spot is completely perfect for a guy like him. So I got a few shares of Zay Flowers, and I got a lot of Michael Mayer too, who we talked about
Nice. We
last
did.
episode we did. Yeah, about how I view Michael Mayer. So I was able to get a few shares of him. Kind of got to wait and see, obviously, with the tight end position, but I was excited to get to pull away with him in a couple drafts, and I didn't have to reach on him either. I got him in the mid
Nice.
second in a lot of the drafts. So
He's a good
um,
value right now. He
yeah, yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
like, people are dropping him quite a bit after the
yep.
landing spot. He was going like late first before,
Hmm.
and now he's like available at like 204 or 203
Yeah,
pretty
exactly. Yeah, I
consistently.
think
So
the latest I got him was 206 in one draft.
that's
So I'm
crazy
like,
late.
yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
the best pound for pound tight end in the draft class. I'll take him
Mhm.
at 206. Thank you
Yep.
very much. If he's on the field, gonna be on the field because of how he plays, I'll take
Yeah.
him. So
Exactly. For sure.
so yeah, so a lot of fun. Still not obviously a lot to be seen from the 2023 class, but like we said in the outset, this is a show for the 2024 preview. So we'll go down the list of the guys we really need to be paying attention to right off the bat. And of course, we'll start with the golden child of Lincoln Riley's offense and 2 different systems, 2 different teams that he's coached now at this point. Started at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley leaves, goes to USC, and Caleb Williams follows him right to USC and continues to be the prospect that we saw in high school. So right off the bat, I think everybody knows that Caleb Williams is the 101. Any of the teams in the NFL that are in a rebuild are going to be tanking for Caleb. It's Caleb sweepstakes. Kind of nobody else at this point, especially in May of 23. There's nobody else. It's Caleb, and that's it. Um, Initially, what if you've watched any of his tape yet or anything? Obviously, it's early, but what are your first thoughts about Caleb Williams as a player?
He's incredible. Caleb
Yeah,
Williams is electric. He's one of the most entertaining players, I think, that I've watched at that position in college football in like recent memory. And
yeah,
still pretty new to college football as a whole, but
Mhm.
I saw the Burrow run with LSU a couple of years ago. I've seen Tua have some good years,
Mhm.
but Caleb Williams last year was just insane. He was an
Yeah.
absolute madman out there. Watching him against the Notre Dame game and the USC or the UCLA game, those
Yep.
two really stood out for me. The UCLA game especially, that game was like
Yeah. That game was insane.
48-49 for like when I tuned in, and
Right. Right.
my God, he was doing some things, some throws on the runs that he makes. The tight window throws outside the boundary are just incredible. The
Yeah.
velocity he gets on those,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
crazy. And when you watch him, his legs move just as fast as Kyler Murray's do, and
Hmm.
he's like half a foot taller than him. And he has this like Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, I know we don't like that comparison, but
No. Hey.
he has that
Hey.
vibe to him. You know,
Yep. Yep.
he's just crazy. He's so good in the pocket, knowing when to move, when to stay strong in there, and he's so good at maneuvering outside the pocket. And
Hmm.
I don't know, there's just not a lot of things he doesn't do well. And I get that people are raising the flag of like, oh well, we thought Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell were going to be the consensus number 1 and 2 pick
Hmm.
in their draft class. This is not that. This is not even
No.
like there's no risk here.
No. There's
This
no
is a
risk.
surefire hit. This
Yeah.
is closer to Trevor Lawrence coming in as a generational prospect than it
Right.
is
Right.
to Spencer Rattler.
Absolutely.
So no hate to Spencer Rattler, but yeah, no, Caleb is incredible, and he's going to be pushing that top 5 dynasty quarterback tier pretty quick, I think, once he gets into the league. So
Yeah, I agree, and I don't even hate the like you said. A lot of people say, "Hey, don't do the Patrick Mahomes comparison. Don't do it. Don't do it." Well, when there's a guy that plays the style like Patrick Mahomes, nobody's saying he's Patrick Mahomes. But if you were to compare his play style to anybody, it's immediately Patrick Mahomes. It's like not even like the throw you're talking about that he zipped in at UCLA against UCLA, where he
there's like
basically
2 in
did
that
like
game.
a Jordan logo in midair and like zipped it like a shortstop throwing to first base, it looked like Derek Jeter, but he's throwing a
He literally
football.
looks like he's throwing a baseball out there.
Yeah,
Like the way that
exactly.
he throws it around, it's like he has so much control and like
Right,
so much
right.
velocity on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's incredible. I could watch his tape and we have so much time to watch his tape plus whatever he's gonna do in the 2023 college season. So he's just coming off of a Heisman Trophy. USC is absolutely loaded on offense. They have running backs I'm sure we'll be talking about soon, probably not in this episode, but as the summer and the fall goes on, they have tons of wide receivers for the next 3 years actually. Lincoln Riley's bringing in everybody, and so they're loaded this year. They're going to be one of the top 10 teams in the country, I believe. And Caleb Williams is leading that team to however far they can get him because he's going to do everything he can. So
Yep,
it's a matter of whether that
100%.
defense can hold up. But yeah, Caleb's one of those. Like you said, he's going to be pushing top 5 fantasy or dynasty QB very very soon, I believe. So um yeah, if you're tanking this year, just like if I believe the Rams, the Cardinals, a couple other teams are in full tank for Caleb mode, like that's who you're trying to get as the 101. Even if you don't need a QB, as of right now, just hold on to that, and because that will just the market price and that's just going to keep skyrocketing. So just relax. It's Caleb. Don't worry. Barring any injury, it's Caleb. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's incredible. So uh next guy for you, because this as of right now varies a little bit depending on who you talk to, but who would be the 102 if there was a rookie draft for 2024 right now? Who's the next guy you're talking about?
If I was like picking rookies right now, like
Hmm.
if I was doing a Devy startup draft or something, the next
Yeah.
guy from 2024 for me is Marvin Harrison.
Mhm.
Um, I like Drake May a lot, and we'll talk about him in a sec after
Yep.
we're done talking about Marvin. But Marvin is projected probably to be a top 8 at very worst pick in the NFL draft, and I think that there's a better chance that he goes 2 than there is that he goes 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is special. You're an Ohio State fan, so you don't need me to tell you,
No,
but
that's why I gave you
he
the
is,
floor, bro. Like you
yeah,
just
no, like he's just the full package. He does everything you're looking for from an elite receiver.
yep.
We haven't seen a lot of those in I guess we have seen there's been great receivers coming in, but this like dominant X prototype we haven't
Yeah.
really seen in a couple of years. It's been a lot
Right.
of smaller, quicker guys coming in the league,
Right.
and
Right.
that's sort of where the game is trending towards speed over size.
Yep.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to mess all that back up
Oh
because
yeah.
his combination of size and the way that he moves at his size and his body control at his
Right.
size is all just insane. It sort of comes together in this perfect storm where you have a dominant route runner who's dominant at the catch point, who's a dominant athlete, and then what you
Yeah.
have is just an extremely dominant X receiver.
Right.
So I don't see really a world where he's a bust. I think that he's going to get some of the highest draft capital we've ever seen for a wide receiver, and I think that he's going to be really, 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 really good for a long time.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree. He's on the because Calvin Johnson, I believe, was like the second pick in the draft. Jamar Chase was the fifth pick in the draft. Justin Jefferson, obviously, he slipped. Everybody kind of missed on him. He should have obviously been the first pick in that draft class for wide
Corey
receivers.
Davis.
Corey Davis, 4 overall. Like, okay. So there's been a couple of misses. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not one of these.
No,
He's not going to be Corey Davis. Like, I
He's not
promise.
Corey Davis.
He's not Corey. He's not Corey Davis. He, like you were saying, like the combination. So to put it into perspective, if we were to rank dynasty wide receivers right now, like say he was just in the league right now, for me, he'd be number 3 behind Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. And I know I'm not gassing it because I'm an Ohio State fan. Like he is that good of a receiver and that good of a prospect. He's got 2 inches on Justin Jefferson, or 3. He's 6'4", so he's got 2 or 3
Crazy.
inches on
6'4".
Justin Jefferson. He's physically stronger, I believe, than Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He can jump higher. He could probably run just as fast. The Chase is pretty fast, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is pretty close to that type of speed too. And it's just he's literally like what you would build in a lab for a type of X receiver. And like you said, a lot of the new wave of how you play football has been not tailored to smaller receivers, but very conducive to a slot guy or a guy that doesn't need a whole bunch of size or just needs to get open. But you can do whatever you want with Marvin Harrison Jr. You put him in the slot, you put him outside, you put it doesn't matter. He's just throw him the ball. That's just the type of receiver he is. So, like you said, I would probably do the same thing. He's probably the second. He might be the second player off the board in the NFL draft, and he's definitely the second player in Dynasty off the board. For me right now, this is when they say generational talent. This is when I have more confidence in him hitting and having long-term success than I do Caleb Williams right now, just because of the position, the difference between him at his position in that draft class compared to Caleb in the position in that draft class is like very, very far away. I believe he's like run away the best receiver in the like. Even the guy we're going to be talking about, his teammate, he's not close to Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's really good. So we'll get there, but yeah, that's enough about Marv. But if you need a receiver, keep that 102 and keep it rolling. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, all right. So the third guy, you mentioned him, North Carolina quarterback, Drake May. If you've watched any of his tape, how do you feel about Drake May starting off the 2024 class?
I need to take a closer look before I really solidify this claim here, but I think that him at 3 behind those two is a pretty solid spot for him.
Okay.
It would take like a Heisman kind of year from him to leapfrog Marvin Harrison, and even then, I'm not so sure. Like, it would take a pretty bad Marvin Harrison year for that to happen.
Yeah.
But I like him more than the next few guys that we're going to talk about in a sec. I think he does a lot of stuff well. He's got a great build. I think he's like 6'5", 220 something, which is prototypical size for the position, which is something that's unfortunately for some prospects very important to the NFL and very important to success in the NFL. A lot of the guys that we see at the top of dynasty rankings at the moment are guys like Josh Allen and guys like Justin Herbert and guys like Trevor Lawrence, who have these 6'5", 6'6", 220 plus frames. And are able to stand in the pocket and do what they do. And what I have seen from May, it looks like he's got a great arm. I don't know that it's generational, but it's pretty good.
Yep.
He seems to be pretty accurate and has pretty good pocket awareness.
Mhm.
And I think that he's going to be a rock solid sort of. I'm not seeing a ton of crazy rushing upside, but I think that he'll be another guy like a. I'm not going to compare him to Burrow or Herbert, but it's one of those guys where the best year you're going to get out of them is a year where they throw a crap ton of touchdowns,
Yep.
and you're not really going to have to worry about anything else happening around them. It's just going to be how many touchdowns can this guy score for me? If he doesn't,
Yeah.
he'll still be a consistent producer,
Right.
no
Right.
matter what. So I think that he's got a decent floor and a
Yeah.
decent ceiling.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Drake May has a really good fantasy floor. Like, I don't see his like real football, like NFL. I don't see him being a generational guy where we're talking about him in the Mahomes or Allen or like Brady Rogers, man. Like, I don't see him as that type of prospect, but I see him sticking around, having a really solid career, and putting up a lot of numbers. So he kind of reminds me of a Matthew Stafford type of quarterback, or like a Matt Ryan. Like,
Yeah,
like a solid quarterback can win you games in the NFL. Like, he's a franchise QB with a good system built around him. You can win a Super Bowl with him. Like, I think that's on his path of outcomes. I just don't think he's not Caleb Williams. Obviously, we would be having a different conversation. But like analytically, just watching his tape from last year, he does have a really good arm. He's strong, like you said. He has a good build. He does his delivery and release, like when he has to get out of the pocket, it's a little strange. Like, he tends to do a lot of jump throws, um, which I feel like he's jumping over things, like he's jumping for no reason, kind of. Like, you're 6'5", but I don't think you have to see over anything, to jump to throw it. But I've seen that a little bit. It's kind of like off balance stuff out of the pocket. So his footwork is not, I don't think, is the greatest as of right now, but he's got time to improve on that this year. But and we'll see what he does without Josh Downs. But he's up there. He's gonna be one of these QBs. He's probably sneak into top 10, top 12 dynasty QBs eventually. He's gonna be just one of those solid guys that you'd ever take your eye off of, because he's just always going to be around. One of those, just, oh yeah, I need a solid QB. Let me go get Drake May. I think that's his path to success right there. So really good QB. I'm excited to see what he does for his junior season at North Carolina. So
there's a
uh,
place for those like B plus A minus quarterbacks. Like
mhm.
there's absolutely room for those kind of guys that might not be generational, but you'd put them in like the good or above average tier. So
Yeah, absolutely. He's gonna be a stat sheet stuffer for us.
yeah,
That's what we're looking out of a quarterback anyway. Looking for out of a quarterback anyway. So, um, so the fourth guy that we're gonna talk about, this is where it gets the fourth should be consensus for everybody right now. And we haven't seen this in a while, but the fourth guy is going to be Georgia's tight end Brock Bowers, who we have been talking about for like 3 years now in the Devy space, in the dynasty space. He is arguably the best tight end prospect of all time. He is, and I'll start on him, and then I'll give you the floor about Brock
no, for
Bowers.
sure.
But his athletic profile and like all of his scores and numbers at the combine are going to be off the charts. And like his on the field, you don't see too many tight ends that have game breaking plays at the tight end position. Like that doesn't happen. He has tons of tape where he's ripping off a 60-yard touchdown, like just down the seam, running over somebody, speeding by somebody. He is different. That's what everybody says now. He's him. He's different. That's Brock Bowers right there. He's absolutely a generational tight end. So if he went in this draft, he'd probably go one. And he played with a couple good tight ends too at Georgia. Eric Gilbert and the big guy that went to Pittsburgh, Darnell Washington. So Georgia's turning into a tight end factory, and Brock Bowers, although being the youngest guy of that group, was leading the group. He's a number one passing option. Even when George Pickens was there, Brock Bowers was the guy. He's the safety blanket. He's always open. He can block. He can do everything you need, and he's gonna go extremely high in the NFL draft. What have you seen from Brock Bowers? How do you like his tape so far?
The big thing is, even if the production might not be like eye-poppingly disgusting from him,
Yep.
his like second best target in that offense was Lad McConkey last season. So like we can't really knock him too much for that. But I
Right.
don't know. Everything you said kind of hits the nail right on the head. He's a generational athlete from that
Yeah.
position.
Yep.
He's going to profile incredibly well. And I know that we just saw another generational athlete at the tight end position come out, and he kind of has been frustrating. But him and Brock Bowers are both generational, I think, in a very different sense. I think that Pitts was sort of like a experiment of could a generational receiver who's really big turn into an elite tight end?
Let's see
And
what happens type of
exactly. Whereas with Bowers, what I see is this is just a generational tight end. Like he's not like, oh, what if we put him at X? Oh, you should just start on the outside. Oh, he's so versatile. No, this is just like tight end built in a lab.
Right.
So I like him a lot, and there's not much to dislike about him. I think that him and Drake May are in the same tier in this class. I think that those two and kind of Marvin are one tier. I might even push Marvin above him. But Bowers is really good. He's going to be a really good producer. You might have to be a little patient, as we always do with rookie tight ends, but there's going to come a time where he becomes, I would probably feel comfortable saying that he'll hit a George Kittle level of production at some point in his career.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that putting the Kelsey comparison on anyone is totally unfair, because you're never going to just predict the greatest tight end of all time or
exactly
the greatest tight ends of all time. But he's going to be really good. He's going to be really productive, and he's your pick at 4.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to basically slide right into the top, like easily right into the top 5 of dynasty tight ends, no matter if Kincaid or Mayer pop off this year in the rookie season, if Pitts and the Falcons finally figure it out and he, gets the actual targets he's supposed to, comes down with the ball that he's supposed to when he has an accurate quarterback, Brock Bowers will still be in that top 5. I don't think anything really changes that. Even after this year, if he doesn't have a good season, if he gets an injury, he's still, to me, like Pitts is held on, and he's going into season 3. And his rookie season was great. Second season, not so good. Everybody still considered Kyle Pitts as right behind Kelsey. He's tight end 2 in Dynasty. So
the value has not gone down at all.
No, not at all. And Bowers, that's not going to happen either. He'll be right there when it's all said and done.
Yeah. The other thing with Bowers too is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he would have been the first tight end for dynasty managers probably in both of the last 2 draft classes. I think he would have.
I would think so.
If he could have gone to the league this year, he would have been tight end 1 over Kincaid, and then the year before, I don't even remember who the tight end 1 was the year before.
I think it was Pitts, wasn't it?
No, I think Pitts is 1 year before that. Like,
okay.
This past 2022 season.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I can't even think of it off the top of my head right now. But
I think it was just a bad class. But
either way, either way, he's in there. He's right in that top 5. And I like the Kittle arc. That's a good one, because he kind of do it all. Excellent receiver. Like he's good. He's in top 5 of 2024 rookie drafts, like a lock, basically. Which we have not seen that a lot, and especially if you're playing Superflex, you're really not seeing too many tight ends in the top 5. Never mind the first round. Like top 5's big, and so but he's there. So, the 5th spot. So we're gonna do a top 6. The 5th spot is where we was probably see our first, at least for me and you, when we talk, the first running back. What guy are you looking at personally for your first running back off the board in 2024? Who's the guy that you like, that you're planting your flag, as we say over at DFF? Who's your guy so far in the draft process?
I like Raheem Sanders a lot, but if I had to plant my flag on an RB1, it would be Trevion Henderson for me.
Okay.
I think that he is the best overall, and I think that he's the most well-rounded at the same time.
Okay.
That's kind of sort of the knock I've seen on Sanders and on Braylon Allen is that they don't really get a lot of receiving work, whereas I feel like Henderson sort of, that's not as much of a concern with him.
Right.
I think that Henderson has a lot of really high level traits that we like to see. I think he's got really good wiggle. I think that he's got good power and a good balance of that with his explosiveness and athleticism.
Yep.
I haven't watched a ton of him, but he's the front runner for me right now. And I think that in the Devy leagues I'm played in, he's probably the most valued of those three that I just brought up. So
yeah, I agree.
That's who I'd plant my flag on.
No, I hear you. And I'm like, I'm an Ohio State guy. I've love some Travion Henderson. He's solid, like an all around running back, pass catch, can block if you need him to, but that's not what we're looking at. I don't really care if he can block or not, but excellent runner between the tackles. Like he's that guy. He was banged up a lot last year, and that put a couple other running backs on the market, kind of put them on the map at Ohio State. We got to see a lot of Mayan Williams last year, who we'll talk about throughout the draft process as well. But we're going to see a little bit of a 1-2 punch, I think. Obviously, Travion's going to be leading that backfield. But similar to what we saw with Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson last year at Texas, I feel like that's what we're going to see with Travion Williams and Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams going into this season. But neither here nor there. Travion's an excellent prospect, and I get that. That's probably a lot of people's RB1 for the 2024 class. And my guy I've been following for a while now, Ohio State bias aside, has been a guy you just mentioned, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. This dude is a truck, and I know there's not a whole bunch of truck running backs that last too long in fantasy or in the NFL, but they're not as highly valued in Dynasty fantasy football, just because they get the break speed off them. They're getting, Derrick Henry type of carry and usage numbers and whatever the case may be. But this kid is I think he just turned 20. He played his whole rookie season at the age of 17. So, and he is extremely strong, extremely fast. Like, he's an animal. So I feel like he's one of these prospects that we're not going to have to worry about him being too big to be valued in the passing game or valued in the whatever, because when you give him the rock, he's getting yardage no matter what. And I'm not saying, because I think Nick Chubb is the best pure running back in the NFL, like just carrying the ball. Like I think he's the best pure runner. Like if you're watching film, Braylon Allen, I can kind of put him in that realm of possibilities or like career arc of a Nick Chubb type of guy. Everybody for Nick Chubb, the knock is he doesn't catch a lot of passes. I get that, but he's still at the very least a top 10 running back every year for fantasy football.
Yeah, so if he's put together a great career.
Exactly. So if you're looking for stability, like he just had 1,500 yards last year. It's the quietest 1,500 I've ever seen. So if you're looking for stability and a running back, I think we're going to get that out of Braylon Allen, and he's going to come into the league at a very, very young age. So, of course, that running back wall starts to hit around end of 27, beginning of 28 years old. He's got a solid 5, 6, 7 seasons ahead of him where he can be somebody's running back one, or even if, the NFL is moving toward tandem backfields, but he is a truck, and I can't wait to see what he does this year before he goes to the draft. He's an excellent running back. So that's the guy I would take at 5 in May of 2023. I'm not, anything could change, but that's my guy right now. So
I like that a lot. You've definitely moved the needle on him for me a bit. I'm not super bought into Braylon Allen as of now, but hearing you talk about him, it's getting me to think about it a little more. For sure.
Yeah, just it's early though. It's early, so you can, I might think about Travion Henderson a little bit more now. So you never know. It's only May, so
for sure.
So the last guy we'll talk about, obviously, most of the leagues we play in are going to be 12-team super flex. We're going to talk about one more receiver that got into our top six, and that is the running mate of Marvin Harrison Jr. over at Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka. So, have you watched any Egbuka? And if you have, what are your initial thoughts on this wide receiver prospect?
Similar to the other guys, I've sort of like touched on his tape, but I haven't
Mhm,
really done the deep dive that I'm eventually going to
mhm.
like really stake my claim on any of my opinions on these guys. But
Yeah.
what I've seen from Egbuka looks really promising. He looks like he's a really smooth and good separator, which is really important for producing in Dynasty
Mhm.
and in just in the NFL in general. I think that that separation is probably the number one trait that I look for when I'm scouting receivers, just because if you can't get open, your life's going to be really hard, and
Right.
you're going to make the quarterback's life hard. So
Right. Right.
um, I like Igbuka a lot. I think that he'll sneak into some mid to late first round draft capital next April. I think that he'll probably put up a pretty solid year this coming season. I think that there could be a bit of a dip in production because I'm not as big on the McCord/Brown situation as I was on the Stroud situation, but he also does have um, some vacated space in that offense to work.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I think that we could see something from Igbuka, and he's going to be a guy that I'm watching with some interest in this upcoming college season. But I think he does a lot
Yeah.
of stuff well, and I think that he he's going to be a good football player.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a lot of people are gonna say that's gonna be not good for him because he's playing next to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's gonna be great because it could kind of open up the field for him. All the attention is gonna be on Marv, like no matter what, every single time. Defense is just scheming for Marvin Harrison Jr. That's just
Yeah,
what's gonna happen. So Ekbuka's going to be uh, not so much open a lot, but get a lot of the second corner playing him or get zone coverage on his side because they're going to put him on opposite sides. Um, but he is, like you said, he's a great separator, and he's been at Ohio State for a while. He's like a 5-star recruit, like top five in his in the wide receiver class. I believe he was top one or two receivers coming out actually. And he's just had to. It's Ohio State, so you just got to wait your turn, right? So
pretty
last
much.
year with JSN sitting out basically the whole entire season, him and Marv were able to kind of take over that receiver room. So now everybody could see like, oh, like Buka is good. We've heard the name, just haven't seen him on the field because of the farm that they got over there at wide receiver for Ohio State. So we got to see that a lot last year, and I think this year that those two are going to go insane, and they'll probably be the first two receivers off the board in the NFL draft. And I'm excited to see, what kind of actual capital like Buka gets because we know Marv's going top five, but how does the NFL value a guy that played next to Marvin Harrison Jr.? I don't know. Hopefully he has a good high reception type of year, and that'll show like how open he can get, how good his hands are, stuff like that. But I think he's definitely, as of right now, in the top six in that front half of your 2024 picks for next year. He's going to be a guy. He's got decent size too, so he's definitely somebody on the radar for the top of our drafts for 2024. So
Yeah, he's not just going to be like a slot receiver. I think at the
no,
next
no,
level, I
no.
think he's got some versatility to him for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. He could turn into a low end one, I think,
Yeah,
heading into his NFL career. So
I've seen people say that Egbuka will be the Justin Jefferson to Marvin Harrison's Jamar Chase, and
yeah,
obviously that's very lofty, but it's
right, right.
some interesting food for thought.
Yeah,
So
no, that makes total sense, bro. It really does. Like everybody knows who Jamar Chase is. Like he's the guy. You already know he's going to be a star.
yeah,
Jefferson's really good. Didn't know he was going to be this good in the
yeah,
NFL, but
exactly.
this 100% could happen with Marvin and Egbuka. So can't wait to see it. That's those are my guys. So we'll see what see what happens.
For sure.
Is there any other player in this class so far? Again, very early in the process, but is there any other guys that you are keeping an eye on, whether any position, but any guys that you kind of want to see a lot of coming into the college season for 2024?
I think that this is going to be a really big year for Quinn Ewers.
Mm,
He was one of like the highest rated prospects I think of all time
yep.
like ever. And he kind of hasn't done much in his time starting for Texas. So
Yep.
this is a really big year because I think that he could play himself back into the top 5 to 10 of the NFL draft,
Mhm.
which would be huge for his dynasty value. And I think that it
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
shoot him right up into this conversation that we've been having today.
Yep.
But if he puts up another stinker of a season with, Bijan's gone, Roshan's gone, it's not
Yep.
going to be as stacked of a team.
Mhm.
Um, that I don't know, that would that would really suck for him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he could take a pretty big hit if he
Yeah.
doesn't end up where we want him to be come
Yeah.
April 2024. So I'm
No.
definitely going to be tuning into a lot of Texas games, I think.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers is also on my list because the Texas should be a really good team this year. They have really good running backs. Again, Cedric Baxter
Oh
is
yeah, Baxter's good.
already, yeah, he's already a Devy darling for running back prospect. He's an excellent running back. So they
Mhm.
have they have a excellent another high end Devy tight end prospect. They got Xavier Worthy, who is another receiver in this class. Like they're Quinn Ewers should be set up for success going into his season before he gets drafted. So that whole anybody on Texas right now is kind of who I just want to see like after the Bijan show, can these guys show up and get, first round draft capital or how many of them, how many Texas guys are we going to see?
Yeah.
And I think like you said, like Quinn Ewers is in there. He's probably QB3 for me right now. It's just I'm a little nervous about how long he can hold QB3 going into the season because last year was shaky. He did get hurt in the Bama game, and it just like very inconsistent play from Quinn Ewers. But I think he's going to turn it around and be the prospect that we expected him to be, especially with Arch Manning sitting behind him. Not that he didn't look great in the spring game at all, but with that type of prospect behind you, I think that kind of is going to light a little bit of a fire under Quinn Ewers to be able to perform because college is not like the NFL where you just kind of you pay the guy so you got to stick with him. If you ain't playing well in college and your team is on the path to maybe going far in the play to get into the playoff or whatever, they'll make the swap to keep the boat afloat. So, and if you got an Archie Manning behind you, you never know what the season can hold. So,
Mhm.
I think he will have a good season this year, and he's definitely on my radar too for guys I'm looking to watch and see how their trajectory pans out before the draft happens. So,
It's pretty much
um,
it for Quinn. It's time to ball, man. Just
yeah, you got to go now, bro. This is
got
it.
to start hooping.
You ran from Ohio State, so you go to Texas. No, this you got to show up now, bro. This is
Yeah.
you're the golden child of prospects. So let's see what you can do. So, all right. So before we take off, let's just get a little bit of a a temperature gauge on 2024 picks. Right now, as it stands in the spring of 2023, are you actively buying 2024 picks yet?
Yeah, I'm in on this class. I think there's a lot of high end talent towards the top of this draft,
Okay.
and then I think that the mid rounds, like the middle of the first, looks pretty promising too. With
Mhm.
those running backs in there from like the 5 to 9 range.
Yep.
Egbuka's in that range, and then
Mhm.
like we just talked about, Quinn Ewers could sneak in that range if he's
Yep.
able to put together a pretty good season. So I'm definitely into these. To acquiring 2024 firsts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this looks to be. I don't think we should be worried about the 2023 class being a disappointment.
No.
I think that this class is there's a lot of talented football players, and I think that they're going to produce. So there's no
Yeah.
reason, in my opinion, not to be too
No.
scared.
Like, of course, the 2023 class was talked about for a couple of years before it happened. Like, everybody knew that was the draft. So there is a little bit of, skepticism with this one because, like, what if it happens again? Like, we hyped up 23 and put so much price tag on 2023 first. Now we're doing the same thing with 2024. Like, guys, we do it with every draft class. Like, it's okay to do, like, that's how you build and how you move. That's how you play dynasty football. Like right now, today, it's whenever you watch this show on YouTube on Twitter, however you listen to this, that point is the cheapest these 2024 picks will be. So if you want them, just get them now. They only go up in price. They don't go down. That's that's just
Literally.
the way the name of the game. So regardless of whether you are in on this class or not, just get the, if it's not going to hurt your team now, one, you don't need to be doing anything because it's May. Like you don't need, there's no team needs in May. So that's one thing. But two, if you're just looking to get in on the 2024 first round picks, just do it now. They only, gain value as the season goes on or off season goes on. And when football starts, they're going to start skyrocketing. Everybody's going to start watching college football again. They're going to start seeing stats go up. And the rookies for 2023 are going to start, some of them are going to start flopping, disappointing. People are going to be out on players, and they're going to immediately start looking to the next year. So if you want them, this class is loaded again, just like 2023 still is. This class is loaded again. Get them, and then if you want to start moving them, you can get back a lot depending on when you move them and how you move them. So I'm definitely in on moving them whenever, or acquiring them whenever you can. That's just a
It's a
smart
value
business
accruing
move.
asset. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's no
Exactly.
world in which these picks really are going to get worse.
No, because you're buying the possibility of these players. We don't know what's going to happen, but if you can say that you have them and they hit, you're playing with $1 million right there. So, yeah, I'm definitely in on those. So we're gonna keep going with this series. Ben, thanks for joining me today on another episode of the Always Be Building podcast. We're gonna do episode 5. We're gonna continue with the 2024 reviews so far of like way too early players that we can be talking about. And we'll do a little bit of value. So we'll do some trades or scenarios where we see where you can move 2024 first, what you can acquire for them right now, whether you would do this trade, that trade. We'll do a whole bunch of, a little bit of an experiment on the next episode and see where we value everybody before we actually see some more football, some more, training camps and all of that stuff. We'll get that ball rolling on episode 5. So, continue to tune in, smash that like button, subscribe to DFF on Twitter, join the website again, the subscription, and keep rolling with the DFF army. We'll continue to pump out this content for you guys, and thank you for joining us. Ben, good to see you, man. We'll catch you on the next one.